Chapter 9 Steps to Purna Yoga. Ya Abheda Buddhi Sa Yoga. In this statement, the word Buddhi is qualified as Abheda, which means a state where the tendencies of the mind end, such as distraction, etc., up till restraint, having calmed down totally. Then the mental vital consciousness substance comes to experience the Sarvabhauma Dharma, that is yoga. It is necessary to understand this properly. A jnani is a person who learns from experience, who does spiritual practice for attainment of the invisible. By using the word bhuk, which is indicative of using devotion as the spiritual practice sequentially, the skills for which you already possess, this is what is indicated by Sri Gajanan. Just as you rule your kingdom carefully, giving due consideration to the rights of your subjects, in the same way, the discrimination and renunciation in you is the reason for your questioning with such eagerness. In that sense, you are already capable of bringing out what is essential from the transgression of Yoga Bhumi to get the necessary experience and also win over them for the sake of your ascent. Now, what is the yoga that has to be accomplished? There are many. After actualization of the Mahavakya, Tattvamasi and Aham Brahmasmi, and gaining the experience of Siddhas that are an indication of the identification of oneself with the Supreme Divine, that yoga which the sadhak performs sequentially are of two kinds, namely superconscious and supraconscious meditative unions. Among them, superconscious meditative union consists of 4 kinds of Vitark type and 4 types of Savitark type, totaling 8 kinds. The supraconscious meditative union contains of 2 kinds, namely Bhava Pratyay, experience of the world, and Upaya Pratyay, source of experience. This has been described in the Vedas as well. Once again, Bhava Pratyay is of 2 kinds. One is corporeal and the other is incorporeal. The Upaya Pratyay supraconscious is of 3 kinds: Mrudu, Madhyama and Adhimatra, which means tender, medium and half-hearted, which has to be accomplished. In this manner, there are 5 kinds of yogas that are required to be attained on the path of Purna Yoga Siddhi, and this yoga, being quite elaborate, has been referred as Tattvam Pada. In short, a sadhak sequentially observing a Yogendra Shresht, best of yogis in the practice of meditative union, following him step by step, ultimately leads him to attain Purna Yoga Siddhi. In other words, he goes on to explain how the internal and external faith in the possibility of accomplishment of a Yogendra Shresht becomes a matter of experience. Notwithstanding the description of the state of Purna Yoga, it proves to be the bestower of psychic powers for attaining completeness of the dual kinds of meditative unions comprising of superconscious and supraconscious. It is necessary to understand and experience it. Sri Ganaraja Prabhu says to King Varenya, earlier while describing how a Yogendra Shresht follows his spiritual practice sequentially for the attainment of the knowledge of yoga, and the serial order he was required to follow in the yogic spiritual practice consisted of 8 kinds of superconscious meditative union, which was explained. Those being attainable through single pointedness of the mind, its completion would mean the end of the changing tendencies of the mind. With the support of the 4-fold types of Deha, that is the various kinds of collective and distinctive demonstration, which is the basis for the fourfold states of enjoyment of the body through the experience of the particle of consciousness, it becomes possible to give up reasoning and other kinds of enjoyment. The same attributes such as reasoning, etc., should be understood as tools for attainment of superconscious meditative union, leading to Tvampada, by which one experiences the end of a single pointed tendency of the mind. This is known as superconscious meditative union. Similarly, the sense of ego in the fourfold enjoyment of the body experienced by the enjoyer and the four kinds of Dehi or the soul within it, all being actualized as the experience of one being, the experience of the fourfold Deha is said to be the four kinds of Dehi. And since both of them are similar, this fourfold Dehi or soul, with the support of superconscious meditative union as described in the Yoga Shastras, becomes the Tatpada. Thus, the experience of the 8 types of superconscious meditative unions at the Tat and Tvampadas becomes total. It is through the sacrifice of the tendency for single pointedness that one comes to easily experience the attainable supraconscious meditative union. This enables the completion of Tat Tvampada and takes us to Asipada. Similarly, the completion of Asipada makes it possible to experience the actualization of Tattvam Asi, which is supposed to be accomplished sequentially. Then the question arises, how can the sequence be accomplished? How should it be accomplished? The reply to these questions is given serially in the following verse. Sequence of accomplishment. Shive Vishnu cha Shaktau cha Surye Mainaradipa Ya Abeda Buddhir Yogasa Samyak Yogo Mato Mama. In this 21st verse, the glory of the Ansh particle of Asatsva Samvedya of the form of Shakta Brahma is termed as Shakti. The glory of Sat Samvedya of the Saura Brahma is termed as Surya. The glory of Sama Samvedya of Vaishnava Brahma is termed as Vishnu. And the glory of Sahajasva Samvedya of the Shaiva Brahma is termed as Shiva, which is the sequence of accomplishment. All these 4 anshas and positions of power and authority, the place where they end and their abodes, attain fullness only on the basis of the powers that they wield. Then their abodes get illuminated and become attainable for living. The glory of the totality of all Swasamvedyas, for the sake of narration alone, is the 5th Pada, the Lord of Swananda, Ganesh, the traits being the nature of the Atman or the soul. Similarly, once again the experience of the glory of Swasamvedya is such that this fourfold nature, as far as their relationship as supporter worshipper is concerned, consists of the fourfold body and the fourfold souls, which have to be known based on their traits. Since that has to be actualized as well, it is possible only by going through them serially from gross to subtle, etc. The same is indicated for Shakti and others as well. That is, since on the gross level everything is known by name and form, the Shakta Brahma, which shows traits of gross elements, comes first. Its support is Surya, which comes second. The Atman within them is Vishnu Brahma, the third and comparable to the 3, but devoid of any cause, is the Shiva Brahma, the 4th. In the same serial order, it is necessary through undivided intellect to attain self-realization through meditative union. The fourfold authorities of power are attained and concluded into the Mayi Pada, whose traits are found in the abode of Ganesha, and that is the attainment of Purna Yoga. We have to serially understand the meaning of the whole verse in this manner. Shakta Brahma. In the verse, Shaktipada is elucidated first. The reason for her being first and how she became first has already been stated. Shakti Brahma with name and form should be considered Asad Brahma. That should be actualized first in the serial order. The Vedas and other scriptures have already described Brahma with attributes, without attributes, Swasamvedya, etc. These have to be understood as names. When we take the support of these descriptions and bring them as a matter of experience, it is called form. So, the attainment of actualization of that which has a name and form is understood as the actualization of Shakta Brahma. Therefore, the position represented by Shaktau Ya Abheda Buddhi is said to have been totally accomplished. When the 4 types of Deha or body and the 4 types of Dehi, the soul within that body, and the absorption of the corresponding 8 types of causal matter have been accomplished with the strength of superconscious meditative union, then the above mentioned actualization of Shakta Brahma takes place. Therefore, the actualization of Shakta Brahma is called superconscious yoga of causal matter. It is one form of descent of the Supreme into the causal matter. The clarification of this point is discussed later in the chapter. The experience of descent into superconscious causal matter is actualized with the support of the Brahma of Swata Uttan or self-ascent. There, the experience of Shakta Brahma is understood through a mixture of names and forms as stated above. Similarly, in the incorporeal form, the experience has been described as second. The yoga of experiencing Brahma, its being of name and form, through skills built through meditative union is described. It is because of the absorption of causal matter that the possibility of consciousness of causal matter is experienced. This is understood as a principle of Swata Uttan. After it is totally sacrificed, we experience the joy of establishment in oneself. From this place, there is no possibility of ascent through self-intent. Thus, the inspiration for becoming the experience of the total powers of Swasamvedya makes ascent a possibility. Therefore, it should be called Parata Uttan. Then, meditative union with incorporeal is supraconscious meditative union. And the experience of the state of Tatpada in the meditative union is said to be its form. So, this state of name and form is a principle for becoming the incorporeal form of Shakti.